The studio lights were warmer than usual that morning, casting a soft golden glow across the familiar pastel set of Lorraine. The mugs were lined up neatly on the glass table, cue cards stacked, producers whispering through headsets. To viewers at home, it looked like just another cheerful weekday episode. But behind the smiles, something was off. Lorraine Kelly sat in her chair, legs crossed, flipping through her notes with a practiced ease. She'd been doing this for decades: interviews, laughs, emotional confessions. She had seen every kind of guest imaginable. Yet today, there was a faint tightness in her jaw that only the crew closest to her noticed. "Holly's here," a producer murmured quietly. Lorraine looked up. Holly Willoughby stepped onto the set wearing an elegant cream blazer, her hair styled perfectly, her smile polished for the cameras. To the public, she was television royalty, warm, relatable, untouchable. The kind of woman who made everything look effortless. But Lorraine had known her long enough to sense when something was being carefully hidden. The applause sign lit up. The audience clapped enthusiastically as Holly took her seat opposite Lorraine. "Good morning, Holly," Lorraine said brightly, her voice smooth and welcoming. "Morning, Lorraine. Lovely to be here," Holly replied, smiling. At first, everything followed the script. They talked about fashion, early mornings, and the pressures of live television. Holly laughed at the right moments, the audience chuckled along. Producers relaxed slightly. It was safe, predictable. Then Lorraine shifted in her seat. "So," she said casually, glancing at her notes, "there's been a lot of talk lately about behind-the-scenes culture in television. Especially when it comes to power dynamics." The air changed. Holly's smile froze for just half a second, so brief most viewers wouldn't notice. But Lorraine did. "Yes," Holly replied carefully. "There's always conversation, isn't there?" Lorraine nodded, then leaned forward slightly. "You've spoken before about feeling unsupported at times in your career. Some people feel those comments were aimed at certain colleagues." The audience murmured softly. Holly's eyes flicked to the camera, then back to Lorraine. Her tone sharpened just a little. "I think it's important to speak honestly," she said. "Especially when you've been expected to smile and stay quiet for years." Lorraine raised an eyebrow. "Honesty is important," she agreed. "But so is fairness." A producer's voice crackled in Lorraine's earpiece. "Careful." Lorraine ignored it. "There are people," Lorraine continued, "who feel you've let implication do the talking rather than facts." Holly's posture straightened. "Are you saying I shouldn't speak about my own experiences?" she asked. The smile was gone now. Lorraine inhaled slowly. "I'm saying that when you're as influential as you are, words have consequences." The temperature in the studio seemed to rise. Holly let out a short, humorless laugh. "Interesting," she said. "Because when I stayed silent, that was a problem too." The audience shifted uncomfortably. Lorraine's voice remained calm, but firmer now. "No one asked you to stay silent, Holly. But there's a difference between honesty and protecting an industry that doesn't protect its own." Holly interrupted. A sharp intake of breath rippled through the audience. Lorraine blinked. Interruptions were rare on her show. "Holly," she said quietly, "this isn't a courtroom." "Then don't put me on trial," Holly shot back. The cameras kept rolling. Producers waved frantically from behind the scenes, signaling to move on, to cut to break. Lorraine saw them, but something in her expression hardened. "You're here to promote a project," Lorraine said. "Not to rewrite narratives in a way that leaves others unable to respond." Holly leaned forward now, mirroring Lorraine's posture. "I spent years being the nice one," she said, her voice steady but edged with emotion. Smiling, nodding, not rocking the boat. "And when I finally speak up, suddenly I'm rewriting narratives." Lorraine's lips pressed together. "This show," she said slowly, "is about conversation, not confrontation." Holly smiled again, but this time it didn't reach her eyes. "Funny," she replied. "Because it feels like I'm the only one being confronted." The silence was deafening. In the control room, the director shouted, "Cut to ads. Now." But it was too late. Lorraine removed her cue cards and placed them deliberately on the table. "All right," she said, her voice cool. "I think we're done here." Holly blinked. "Excuse me." Lorraine turned slightly toward the camera. "We're going to take an early break," she announced. "And when we come back." She paused, then looked directly at Holly. "We'll be moving on." The meaning was unmistakable. Holly's face flushed. "You're kicking me off your show." Lorraine stood. I'm ending this interview, she said. Because it's no longer productive. Gasps echoed through the studio. Holly rose from her seat as well, disbelief etched across her face. After everything I've given to this industry, she said, her voice shaking now, this is how I'm treated. Live on television, Lorraine met her gaze, unflinching. This is my program, she said quietly. And I won't let it become a battleground. For a moment, it looked like Holly might say something else, something explosive. Instead, she picked up her microphone, unclipped it, and placed it on the table. Fine, she said coldly. But don't pretend this won't be remembered. She walked off set as the cameras finally faded to black. Within minutes, social media exploded. Clips of the confrontation flooded X, Instagram, and TikTok. Hashtags trended worldwide. Hashtag Holly vs Lorraine. Hashtag live TV meltdown. Hashtag kicked off air. Fans took sides. Some praised Holly for speaking her truth. Others applauded Lorraine for shutting down drama. And behind closed doors, executives made urgent phone calls, because what had just happened wasn't just a clash of personalities. It was the beginning of a much bigger storm. The moment Holly Willoughby disappeared behind the studio doors, the Lorraine set fell into chaos. The warm lighting, the pastel sofas, the calm morning TV illusion, it all collapsed in seconds. Kill the mics, a producer shouted. Lorraine Kelly remained standing, hands resting on the glass table, her face unreadable. Years in television had trained her not to react immediately, but even she could feel the tremor rippling through the studio. In the control room, phones were already ringing. Socials blowing up, someone yelled. We've got clips everywhere, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, millions of views already. Lorraine slipped off her microphone and handed it to a runner. Give me 5 minutes, she said calmly. But there would be no 5 minutes. The storm had already started. Backstage, Holly unfiltered. Holly stormed down the corridor, heels striking the floor sharply. Her assistant struggled to keep up. They ambushed me, Holly snapped. That was planned. Don't you dare tell me it wasn't. Her phone buzzed non-stop, messages from friends, agents, executives. One message stood out. Unknown number, you shouldn't have said that on air. Holly stopped walking. Her jaw tightened. Oh, now they're scared, she muttered. She typed one message and sent it to her PR team. Holly, release the statement. Now. The statement that set fire to everything. Less than 30 minutes later, Holly's statement went live. Today's interview was cut short when I spoke honestly about my experiences in the television industry. I will not apologize for standing up for myself or for others who feel silenced. Truth can be uncomfortable, but it matters. Within an hour, it had over 500,000 likes. Celebrities started weighing in, some vague, some supportive, some suspiciously quiet, and then came the leak. The audio no one was supposed to hear. That evening, an anonymous account uploaded a 42-second audio clip. The caption read, "This is what really happens behind the scenes." The voices were unmistakable. Lorraine's voice, tense, controlled. Holly's, frustrated, emotional. But what shocked everyone wasn't the argument. It was the line near the end. Lorraine, audio, you know how this works. You don't air dirty laundry. You protect the brand. The internet erupted. Protect the brand became a meme overnight. ITV panics. By the next morning, ITV executives were in emergency meetings. This is turning into a PR nightmare, one executive said. We look like we're silencing women, said another. And if more clips come out, someone whispered. Lorraine was called in. She listened quietly as concerns were laid out. Finally, she spoke. I didn't kick her off because she spoke up, Lorraine said firmly. I ended the interview because she turned it into an accusation without evidence, live on air. Public perception doesn't care, the executive replied. Lorraine nodded slowly. I understand, she said. But I won't apologize for maintaining control of my show. Holly breaks her silence, again. 2 days later, Holly appeared, not on television, but on Instagram Live. No makeup team, no studio lights, just her, sitting at home. I didn't plan to say this, she began, voice calm but tired. But I'm done pretending. Viewers flooded in, hundreds of thousands. For years, Holly continued, I was told to be grateful. To not rock the boat. To smile and keep things light. And when I finally say, This hurt me, suddenly I'm the problem. She paused. I wasn't kicked off that show because I was rude. I was kicked off because I stopped playing the role. The clip went viral within minutes. The industry starts talking. Then something unexpected happened. A former producer tweeted, "I worked on multiple daytime shows. What Holly said, not new. Just rarely said out loud." Another followed. Then another. Stories began surfacing, anonymous at first. Female presenters being warned not to seem difficult. Concerns brushed off to keep the tone light. Careers quietly stalled after speaking up. The narrative shifted. This was no longer about two famous women clashing. This was about power. Lorraine responds, "One last time." A week later, Lorraine broke her silence with her own statement. "I respect Holly's right to share her experiences. However, I reject the idea that setting boundaries on my program equals silencing someone. Live television requires responsibility from everyone involved." It was measured, professional, but the damage was done. Viewers were divided. Some still stood by Lorraine. Others felt deeply disappointed. The consequences. Behind the scenes, contracts were quietly reviewed. Holly stepped back from several projects, by mutual agreement. Lorraine's show continued, but ratings dipped for the first time in years. Executives commissioned an internal review into workplace culture. Officially, nothing was wrong. Unofficially, everyone knew this had changed things. Final scene. Weeks later, Holly walked past a television studio, one she used to enter every day. She didn't stop. She smiled faintly and kept walking. Across town, Lorraine sat alone in her dressing room, staring at her reflection before going live. Two women, two careers, one moment that cracked the illusion of polite television forever. And the industry would never quite feel the same again.